What's up, guys? My name is Joseph Petrosini. This is...
My name is Buddy Ramitanen.
Yeah, we're super excited. We're going to start the 5 Seconds of Courage podcast. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what that means today, kind of our views on that. But we just kind of want to let you guys get to know us a little bit, how we met each other, our friendship. So, Buddy, you want to start how we met even?
Yeah, so pretty much how we met. It's a funny story. I have a little bit of regrets doing it.
Not
because of our friendship, but because of how I did it. It could have been a better way.
Hey, no, it was just courageous.
It was.
It was just courageous.
I sent Joseph a DM. I don't remember what it says. I still have it somewhere. I look back at it here and there and just cry out of happiness. But I sent him a DM. I had seen his Instagram. I had sold his girlfriend's friends some cookies. I had a cookie business. We'll get into that later one day. But I just saw him, and I saw a post about a tattoo that he has, if you want to show him real quick.
Yeah.
And just he wrote about that. He'll tell you more about that one day, too. And I just kind of loved what he was doing with his life, his goal for being at USC. And so I was like, let me hit him up, see if he wants to go grab some food. So I DM'd him. It was probably really awkward at first. And so what did you respond? What was your thoughts when you saw a DM from a guy wanting to hang out freshman year of college?
Yeah, so at first I was like, well, hopefully this guy knows I'm straight, but no, I'm just kidding. But basically, I was in the car driving somewhere, and with my girlfriend, and she was actually driving, and I was on my phone, and I just see, I got a DM from Buddy Ramitanen, and I was like, who the heck is this kid? And obviously, in the beginning of college, you just meet people left and right.
Yeah, true.
So, obviously, I'm like, sure, I'll hang out, whatever. But I just remember... You were like, you seem a lot like me, you seem pretty cool, and I was like, did this guy just call himself cool? But
that's the part I regret, right? Stuff like that.
Yeah, but I just remember it was kind of like a cool God moment too, because we were talking just basic college talk, you're like, what's your major, where are you from? And so at the Darla Moore School of Business at USC, there's a lot of majors, obviously, but we are both business management. And then within business management, you can do a couple different tracks, and we both decided to concentrate on entrepreneurship, which is kind of crazy because there's not a ton of students there.
We're both double majoring in marketing, too.
Yeah,
so
which is even crazy.
Same double major. And what's your minor?
Speech communication.
Okay, we have a little bit of a different minor, but everything else just lined up crazy. And we were just texting back and forth, and I was like, what's your major? And he was like, this. And I was like, whoa, me too. What's your concentration? He was like, oh, this. I was like, what's your other major? It was just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Everything lined up. And so that's kind of exterior to our friendship of those things. But I think we're going to be doing a lot of business stuff like that down the road as well too.
For sure.
So it was just really cool for God to be like, yo, this is someone who is a lot like you. It made me very comfortable, I think, early on in the friendship, because meeting someone over Instagram is always weird. It's just weird.
Yeah.
And so it was really cool to be like, yo, this is someone that God placed in my life at this moment with literally the same major, the same mindset, the same minor, everything lined up.
Yeah. Meeting someone over Instagram is one step up from Tinder.
Stop. It was bad.
Yeah.
But it's okay, because here we are today filming our first podcast.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about obviously, I'm sure you had, it was a courageous decision just to, send a DM.
Oh, yeah. I think I looked at your account multiple times. I don't think it was just oh, let me do this one time.
Yeah.
I think it was okay, maybe I followed you.
Yeah.
And then it was I might have even tried to type out a DM and be like, that's weird, delete. And a couple, weeks, days went by, I sent another DM.
Yeah.
And so it was really... it was courageous. It was something that you just kind of got to step out and do.
It's just that split second
boom,
decision.
Hit send, type it out, hit send. And then to see from then, which we'll get into this more throughout the next few episodes, of just what courage does as a ripple effect in your life, but just to see how that one, literally me hitting send that day has turned into this.
Yeah.
And has turned into making a weird road trip one weekend, and just doing little things, and now my best friend, which is crazy. So
awesome.
That's pretty much an intro to us as a friend. Do you want to tell a little bit about you, where you're from, what got you to USC, why you want to do this podcast?
Yeah, for sure. So I am actually originally from well, I was born in Michigan, quickly moved to Cleveland, Ohio, was there for a little bit, and then my family moved to Omaha, Nebraska, which is where my family lives right now, which we can talk, like, there's a lot of courageous decisions that we've made, and similarly, like, you guys have made a lot of courageous decisions too, and we can kind of share some of those choices that we've made, but I came to USC all the way from Nebraska, because my grandparents lived down in Hilton Head, and I just took a random visit to USC. My mom had a rule that I had to visit at least 6 different colleges just to get the feel for different sizes and different schools, and I just fell in love with it. After praying about it for a while, just felt super led and called to Columbia, and it's crazy to see how God's worked with not only the relationship with Buddy, but just meeting other people, getting involved in different organizations and ministries. So it's been really cool. What else?
What ministries? I mean, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Down here? What are you into?
Yeah, that's good. So I am a young life leader here in Columbia, and I am in the same life group at a church called Midtown with Buddy. Buddy is actually
I co-lead.
Co-lead.
Co-leader.
So. But yeah, how about you, Buddy? Tell us about
Buddy Ramtanen. Buddy's a nickname. My real name's Nicholas, but everyone calls me Buddy, so just kind of stuck. I get a lot of Buddy the Elf jokes and whatnot. That's fine.
Well, he was also born on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, so it doesn't help. But, so I am from Spartanburg, South Carolina, about an hour and a half away north, I guess, in the upstate. And so, if I'm being honest, USC was not on my radar. In early high school, I was like, I'm playing soccer somewhere. Probably wouldn't have made it on USC's team. And so I was looking at other schools, just smaller D2s, smaller D1s. And USC, I think junior year, summer before senior year, I went on like a college road trip. And part of it was Liberty. That's where I wanted to go. Charleston Southern. And so those were the 2 places on the college road trip, but the other ones were like, okay, I'll just go on them. It was like USC, Clemson, College of Charleston, a couple in North Carolina. So I was just like, okay, I'll just go on the road trip, see the 2 I want to, hang out at the others. Like my best friend then was going on it. So came to USC. It was not a great tour. It was just hot and like musty outside.
Oh.
It was just like humid. I think I was tired, something. We were headed down to the beach. So it was like, I'm looking forward to the beach. I don't really want to be here. And so I just went on my way, didn't even think about coming to USC. It was just like, Grew up a Clemson fan all my life, so if you know the rivalry there, it was like, USC just wasn't on my radar.
Yeah.
And so that's where God stepped in, down the road a little bit senior year. And ended up deciding not to go play soccer, felt kind of done with that. And so I was like, well, only other college I've toured is USC. So I applied, got in, got a good financial package. So I was like, I guess I'm going to USC. I had a few high school friends coming down here. It's not too far away. It's a great distance away from home where it's like, okay, I'm not 2 minutes away from home where I'm having to see my family every day or feel like I need to go over there, but then I'm also a good distance where it's like, okay, if I want to run home and just have dinner with my parents or go home for a weekend, it's really easy and accessible. So that's a little bit about how I got to USC.
Cool.
And then I guess like Joseph said, down here I go to Midtown Fellowship, a church like 10 minutes off campus, not even.
Walking distance? Almost.
Yeah, it's walking. And so life group leader there, I do an internship there on the setup team, and I just love it. So that's
cool.
A little bit about me.
Yeah, so now we kind of just want to share kind of our heart behind the podcast, just kind of set it up. We got a lot of podcast episode ideas coming up. We're kind of shooting for 1 episode a week, and so that's going to be our upload schedule, both on Apple Music, Spotify, and we're going to have a visual podcast recording on YouTube. So check us out there. Also check us out on Instagram at 5 Seconds of Courage. It's the number 5 too, just so. And I actually think it's 5 sec, like SEC.
Yeah, SEC.
Shortened for seconds because it's more visually appealing.
Yeah.
But so today, the rest of the podcast, we're just going to kind of talk about like what courage means to us. Like when we say 5 seconds of courage, and next week we'll talk about kind of what 5 seconds means. But courage is a big word, and kind of contains a lot of different things. And so when you look up courage in the dictionary, do you know what comes up, buddy?
I don't know exactly. We kind of created a version of it, which I
Yeah.
think is here.
Yeah.
But I don't know exactly what all the definitions are. But if you want to tell what we've kind of put together as our definition of courage I think it was definitely a mixture of just different definitions off like Merriam-Webster,
Yeah.
different places. And so we kind of came up with our own, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So this just says mental or moral strength to venture, persevere, and withstand danger, fear, or difficulty. And obviously, whether you see it in a movie or you listen to or read a book or anything that involves courage, there's always that element of fear. Like, courage wouldn't be a thing if you weren't afraid. No one was like, oh, great job, you were so courageous tying your shoes today. It's like, no, it's like, I wasn't afraid to tie my shoes. Like, there's no courage without fear. You know what I mean?
It's like, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're
but
good.
It's like, it's a response. It's a reaction. So it's not like, oh, like, let me be, I don't know. You have to have, like you're saying, danger, fear, difficulty. You have to be in some type of circumstance where it's like, oh, I'm going to display, I have a choice right now.
Yeah.
A reaction of either courageousness or like everything that we were just talking about, kind of like shriveling up and being in fear. And so kind of what we had gone back and forth about with the courageous part is like, when it's that reaction, this is tying into the 5 seconds, but with that like 5 seconds of like, what do I do in this situation? Do I, in some circumstances, like, I don't know, DMing? I don't know where that circumstance came from, but like in that is like, do I do this or do I not?
Yeah.
And then like, what is displayed between each like choice?
Yeah.
And so it's like we're trying to cultivate this new culture of like just being bold, being courageous, because I feel like you miss out on a lot when you aren't.
Yeah.
Like we would have missed out on this friendship.
Yeah.
No offense.
No, that's
if I
a
wasn't
big
courageous in that.
That's
and
a
so
big
it's
thing.
Like, go ahead.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. I was just listening to another podcast this morning where it was saying, like, your purpose, like, your motivation for your purpose, instead of being like, oh, I want to accomplish this or I want to do that, it's instead of do it the other way, it's like, if I didn't do this, imagine what would happen if I didn't. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like taking fear. It's like, what's scarier? Like, me being like, oh, I'm not sure what will happen if I do this, or, man, I'm not sure what would happen if I didn't do this.
Yeah.
So there's like two elements of that fear and that danger. And so I think the big part of courage and being courageous is just like, despite fear, I'm going to make this decision. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to let fear control me, but I'm going to take control of fear. Even though I feel afraid, I'm not sure what the outcome is going to be, I'm going to act this way because I know it's right, I know it's true, and this is how I want to live. And we were just talking, like, making that decision, and obviously sometimes it's a long process to make a courageous decision, but just that split second, like, you commit. Yeah. That can change your life, and that courageous decision, like what we were just saying, and we're going to share stories every episode. And so this first episode talking about how we met, like that decision that Buddy made to commit and hit send is created a friendship that will last forever.
Yeah.
And so both of our lives are changed because of that commitment of hitting send. That 5 seconds, like, all right, Buddy's like, I'm going to do it. Hit send. And look at the outcome. And so that's just like the cool part about courage is you are afraid in the moment, but you know making that split second decision, like or sometimes there's different outcomes. I'm not saying every courageous decision you make is going to be perfect and sunshine and rainbows, but even if it's not, you'll learn something from it.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about different experiences and stories we've had there. But yeah, we're really excited for this podcast, guys. We're also going to have different guests on, talk about their experience, how they've made courageous decisions in their life, and how it benefited them down the road. And so we're really excited for that. We're going to share more examples of how we are courageous, but tell them, like, we're not experts.
Yeah, so this is our first podcast. We've listened to some, but we've never really tried to do that. So in this decision of, like, doing a podcast, that is being courageous, right there. Like that's what we want to motivate people with and show just by doing this of like, hey, we're walking through being courageous with doing this podcast. Like we've never really, you've made some YouTube videos, but other than that, there's nothing been like, oh, let's branch out, let's make a platform, let's create something where we can reach people, and they can jump right into what we're working through of being courageous, because we don't have it all figured out ourselves. Yeah. We're not courageous in every decision. We don't, make these perfect decisions of like, oh, I'm going to be bold today. Yeah. And so it's we're going to grow in this too. And so it's really just us inviting you into that process of like, we're going to have conversations. We're going to talk with some cool guys. We're going to share some cool stories. We're going to hang out and have some laughs. And so it's more just like, let's invite people into that. Let's use this platform to motivate people to be courageous. And so like you said, we're not experts, first timers really. Yeah. And so in that, it's us being courageous. And we're going to use the word courageous or courage like
too many times.
So just get used to it. We'll mix it up and use bold or like, I don't know.
We could make up our own word.
Yeah, we'll make up a word that just we use instead of courage. But yeah, so that's about it. Like Joseph said, we are going to be putting this out about every week. Yeah. Or so. Go follow us. And then lastly,
we got these bad boys.
Bracelets.
We got these awesome 5 Seconds of Courage bracelets. Just because it's a little like having that phrase in your mind. Sometimes when pressure hits or a scary situation hits, you're not thinking, what would be like the courageous thing to do right now? And so it's kind of cool just to have this nice little bracelet here, and you're in the moment, you look down, you're like, it just says 5 Seconds of Courage. And sometimes, at least for me, I actually have a funny story, which I'll share later, where I lost a bet, and I was like, I had to do the dare because I lost the bet, and I was so afraid. I was like, this is going to be so awkward. And a buddy literally just said, he didn't know that we were doing the podcast. He didn't know the name of the podcast. He said, Joseph, just have a couple seconds of courage. Literally, that's what he said. And I was like, you are so right. And I stood up and I went and did it. And so it's just like a cool little reminder just to see, just to look down. Just like you look down, you just see 5 seconds of courage, and that could be the difference maker. But yeah, we hope you guys enjoy the podcast. It's our first episode. Look forward to next week. And you got anything else, buddy?
Just speaking of next week, we are, just to give y'all like a little teaser of like what we're moving into the next couple episodes. So next week we're going to kind of dive into what does that 5 seconds look like? What does that exactly mean? It's not saying, hey, let me make a decision in 5 seconds. It's like something that can take time, but then the ultimate courageous is shown in that 5 seconds. So we'll move more into that, and then we're also going to move into the difference between courageous and stupid. Yeah. So it's like, hey, Joseph, jump off, right? Like that's like not being courageous. That's being stupid. And so we're going to work through different stuff like that. And so we're really excited. Thank you, like Joseph said, for joining us. Thank you for listening. And I guess we just hope everyone has a great day.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.